Giving all praise to Jehovah Shemel, Shabbat Shem Kodash. Shalom to the hopeful elect out there. And I'm going to entitle this video. This is a very important video. The title is, "But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding." But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. This is a very important law from the Most High Power, Yahweh Bashem Shai Bashem Rakak, given to the sons of Israel, given to the Israelites. You know, the Most High gave us over 600 laws, and some laws you use an animal sacrifice of whatever kind. You know, you can ask for forgiveness. You have in the law the scapegoat. That's where the term scapegoat comes from. That goes back to Israel, if you look it up. But then you have some laws that if you break, you just put to death. If you murder a man kill another man, he was put to death. Scripture said, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, burning for burning, life for life, death for death. If a man and a man lie together, they are both to be put to death pursuant to the law. If a woman and a woman lay together, they are to be put to death. So these are a few of the laws unto death. Oh, if you break the Sabbath, you were put to death. Remember the one that picked up sticks on the Sabbath, and this is why the Most High said, "Put fringes on the border of your garment," because he looked down to pick up them sticks. So if he had fringes on his garment, and the Most High said the fringes are to remind you to keep the law, he'd have went down and bent down and noticed them fringes and said, "Oop, I better not pick up them sticks on the Sabbath." And that was breaking the Sabbath. So you broke the Sabbath. The penalty for the breaking the Sabbath is to be put to death. And a lot of you Israelites out there don't even keep the Sabbath on the right day. And thank the Most High, we're under grace. But anyway, I'm gonna read this again. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. And I'm gonna read, and I was putting some precepts together. Man, you know how there's so many precepts on this word adultery, adulteress, that I could do like 10 lessons on this thing. There's so many scriptures in the Old and New Testament, in the law. Yahweh Shai spoke on it. Our Savior, Yahweh Shai, spoke on it, and the importance of it. And it's so important that, you have, Israelite that says, what's that? Romans 2, I believe it's 2:14. I'm not going to go to it. It says the Gentiles not having a law with, unto themselves. I'm not going to go to it, but I'm merely paraphrasing it, meaning that the Gentiles are Israelites in the New Testament. Those Gentiles in Romans 2 is referring to Gentiles, meaning Israelites that didn't know they were Israelites. So even them not knowing the laws, statutes, and commandments, they know in their heart that that a man shouldn't lay with another man. There's something not right about that. Come on, but Esau, he does that. He passes laws to protect them because the Most High is not dealing with this man at all, period. And any Edomite that says he is, either he's a Jake or he's an Edomite and he's lying. You know, when he says, "I love God and I read the Bible," you reading it like you read a textbook. If you're not an Israelite, you're not going to get this understanding, and you will not have a problem with a man laying out with another man. This wicked fucking place. That's why this place has got to be taken out by fire. Anyway, let me go ahead and read some of these precepts. So I put together these precepts. I'm gonna start from, I'm at Proverbs 6, verse 23. Before I go into it, there was somebody that recently committed adultery, and me and Apostle Arimla was just discussing it a little briefly. We don't talk long on the phone. I'm not a long phone talker, but I said what I had to say, and I said shalom. So I told him I was going to do a video on the subject after I put up the video on the, the moon. The Sabbath is based upon the moon. All high holy days are based upon on the moon, or the new moon, even the Sabbath day. So Friday sundown and Saturday sundown is out, unless the new moon falls on a Friday sundown and going into Saturday. That's the only time we keep Friday sundown and Saturday sundown, is when the new moon comes in. Other than that, if the new moon comes in on a Tuesday night, that's when we start keeping the Sabbath. Every Tuesday night, all day Wednesday. See, that Friday sundown and Saturday sundown is not even in the scriptures. Now, if you go to the NLT, the word Friday is there, but that doesn't, it's not talking about Friday. They don't have the understanding. They assume that it's a Friday because everybody says the Hebrew Sabbath is on a Friday. And that's not in the scriptures. You can't find the word Friday in the King James. So let me go into these precepts. First precept is Proverbs 6, verse 23. It says, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproof of instruction are the way of life, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Now that's twofold. That's talking about a wicked woman that may be married that want to get with you, but it's also spiritually, it's talking about these different philosophies out there. That's why Jake is caught up in these philosophies, because they were, as the scriptures say, keep thee from the evil woman. The evil woman represents anything outside of being an Israelite. And even if you are Israelite, you're not teaching the truth the correct way. You're saying Edomites can make it. You're saying the Most High in Christ blessed instead of the true name, which these people in IUIC know the true name, but they refuse to call the name. They call their organization Israel United in Christ, but they know the name. Now, you know what? What is that? That's either Leviticus 23 or Exodus 23 and 13, which speaks about not make no mention of any other God. That word mention means, it doesn't mean to say a different name, because I can say Jesus and Allah and Buddha, but if I bow down, that's what it means. Mention meaning remember, show homage to. So that's what they're doing. They line up, they say Most High in Christ bless. That's why the Most High is not really blessing them to open up their eyes to the truth. That's why you got Bishop, I keep saying that, General Nathaniel Alaga, the new and approved General Nathaniel Alaga, seems like every week he goes into Revelation 13, 16, and 17 to reaffirm to the congregation that blindly follow him. They all blind. They're all blind. That the Revelation 13, 16 is sin in all of its form, whether political or religious. And even the WHO got the MOTB. And when I saw that, I said, are you joking, man? Are you crazy? You guys gonna look like a bunch of fools when you find out that we were always right. Just like the Cornelius thing. We was always correct. So And look, the IUIC could be classified as that evil woman because they're not teaching the full truth. 25th verse, lust not after her beauty in thy heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. That's these different philosophies, and that's women in general. If a woman like you, she's gonna look at you, she's gonna look at you, right? Then she's gonna look away. You know, if she's a little shy, she's gonna look at you. Then when you look, because you can feel people looking at you. I don't know how that works. And you can look, and she looks away. She look up to the ceiling. Most likely, she likes you. She wants you to approach her. So that's what that means. Lust not after her beauty in thy heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. There's a song called "The Look of Love." The look of love is in your eyes. I'll probably put it up. And now you're gonna have the look of love with. You can be married to another man, and you looking at this other guy with the look of love, and that what does that turn into? It turns into an adulterous affair, which is a sin unto death. Now, this is another reason why you shouldn't have women mingle with men in the congregation. All these men that have women, they should stay home. And if they have any question, Paul said that ask their husbands at home. So he's supposed to learn from men, and he's supposed to teach his women at home. Because I guarantee you, man, you got a whole bunch of women, you got a whole bunch of men. They're gonna be looking at each other in certain ways and have a liking for each other. And then that one thing leads to another thing, and that's an adulterous act. And I was saying to Ryan Lob, and I'm pretty sure he may do a video on this same subject. I said, look, man, I said, if you got a woman and she's super fine, I said, I don't give a damn how fine she is. If I saw your woman and said, oh, she's a good looking woman, I'll make it a point to never come around you with your woman, you know? And that's called, self-discipline. That's called being a stoic. A stoic is not going to go around committing adultery. So you should read quotes on a stoic. There's videos, quotes from a stoic. A stoic is a disciplinarian. Look, Paul would never commit adultery, no man's wife. He wasn't dealing with women anyway, because the Most High put a spirit on him not to deal with women. And he even made a statement. It is good for you. What is it said? It's good for you not to touch a woman. That's 1 Corinthians 7. Matter of fact, let me go to it. Let me go ahead and read it. Let me go ahead and read it. Because he says, matter of fact, let me see. 1 Corinthians 7. And another thing the IUIC goes off on, and they all know it. But they don't want to buck up against the leadership. Is if you have a woman, they tell you, look, your woman got to be in the truth. If she's not in the truth, you give her a time limit, then you cut her off. Well, guess what? When you cut her off, and that's in Matthew 19, Yahweh Shai spoke of that. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think I put it on the list. I believe I put Matthew 5. Yes, I got them back to back. Matthew 19 and 9, Matthew 5 and 32. So you say, well, look, brother, you got a wife? Yeah, I got a wife. She's a Baptist. Well, brother, you got to, tell her that she's an Israelite. You gotta go home, say you an Israelite. She ain't feeling it. You go back, you tell leadership. First of all, it's none of your fucking business any goddamn way what that man does. I'm not gonna ask you what you do and do you have a wife and children. That's none of my goddamn business. So they'll come back and they'll say, well, did you tell her she's an Israelite? Yeah, but she wasn't feeling it because her father's a preacher and she been raised up. She sung in the choir and all that, blase, blase. Well, you know, brother, you got to give that woman. And you were legally married? You got papers on the woman? Yes, I do. We got legally married in the church. Matter of fact, her father married us. Um, well, you're gonna have to give her an ultimatum in a time period. If she doesn't get herself right, you gotta cut her off. Now the scriptures say, "What the Most High brought together, let not man put asunder." So they tell you, well, you know what you got to do, brother. And he loves a woman. He got a couple of children by the woman, and it comes down to 5 months, 29 days. He got to make a decision. That's straight wickedness, because if he says, okay, you don't want to become an Israelite, I'm leaving. And what does she do? She moves on. She gets another man. So guess what? This other man actually commits adultery with her because the man that she's supposed to be with is still living. So that's wickedness all the way around. So, when we come together, we go speaking, it's all men. Don't bring your woman. Don't look, brother. Don't bring your woman. Oh, I don't want to know you goddamn. Don't bring your woman around. All right? You deal with your woman. Don't put their woman all up in the videos, all up on the records, all up in the video. Oh, this is my wife. Don't have your wife be a reader for you. So let me just go ahead and read this. Now, concerning things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So they will write, contact and back and forth with the Apostle Paul concerning the woman issue, the marriage issue. It says, nevertheless, to avoid fornication. Now, that word fornication means they're going to give you a bunch of definitions, but it actually means adultery. The word means adultery. When a man has a woman and the woman lays with another man other than her husband, that's adultery. And the penalty for that is both the woman and the man get put to death. It said, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. And as you read down, it speaks about the unbelieving woman, because a lot of you came in that you didn't know you were Israelite, married a woman, both Baptist or Methodist or whatever, Jehovah's Witness or whatever, and you come into this congregation. I'm working with the IUIC because they inquire whether you have a wife or not. And like I said, give her an ultimatum if she doesn't believe. And so this guy is so into this, this group, that he just goes and, tells a woman, look, I'm out of here. Bye. Look, you can take me to court for the kids, or don't worry, I'll find out how much I got to pay for the kids, and I'll give them the exact amount of money. But she goes to the court anyway because she thinks she can get more money. But then the judge find out, well, wait a minute, your husband is giving the right amount of money. He's taking care of the kids. So he might just say, I'm gonna give the husband, charge over the kids, or you get the weekends or whatever the case. It's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. So if any brother that's in GMS got a woman that's not a believer, well, that's between you and her and the Most High. Again, it says, take not away from this book, and add not to this book. That's in a couple of places. That's in the law. I believe that's Deuteronomy 4. If not, it's Deuteronomy 6, but it pretty much says the same thing. It goes into the importance of the law. There's also in Proverbs 30, I believe it's like the 5th verse. Add thou not to his words. Revelation 22, 18, and 19. So you got to go by the book. You can't say, oh, well, I don't like that part of the book. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna say something different, and then people don't that follow you. You know, these zombie type people, they don't have the spirit of the Church of Berea in them, so they're not gonna check behind things. Because it was told to me when I first came in the truth, I had my woman, and Ariat said, if you got a woman that's not in the truth, you got to cut her off. And that messed me up. But then I searched the scriptures, and I came across the scripture, this scripture right here, 1 Corinthians 7. And I read it, and I didn't tell them that I have an unbelieving wife, but I just kept going to the classes because it was none of their business. He said, first of all, it's none of your business, Ariah. So he went off. All right. Great men are not always wise. He clearly went off. And then High Priest Ariah had women that were unbelievers. He had women that were unbelievers. But they were believers because they said, Yahweh Shemata. Like I met some of those women. Oh, this is my woman. And she'd say, Yahweh Shemata. But she'd be wearing pants. She'll be arguing with Ariah. You know? And one time we was at the camp, and this woman, I guess Ariel was dealing with, came to the camp and started cursing Ariel out. Because at first he gets possessed, you got to say, Yahweh Shemata. And she wasn't having it no more, you know? Because the women really don't believe anyway. There's a handful of women that would be considered somewhat righteous. The righteous women that you read about in the past, or some of them are here. We don't know who they are. Okay? So the closer you can get to any of the men of GMSs, watch our videos, you know, say Shalom, great video, and that's it. Okay? You got that? So now let's come back. Let's come back over here. It's a very important subject. So it says here, Proverbs 6, verse 26, for by means of the whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious soul. Now it says a whorish and adulterous woman in the same sentence, the same precept, right? Because a woman that's married that sleeps with another man, she becomes a whore. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth in to his neighbor's wife, whosoever touches her shall not be innocent. What's the opposite of innocent? Guilty. What is the sentence for adultery? Death. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. And there was individuals at the One West School. There was one incident where one man committed adultery with a brother's wife, and it kind of got out. It was a big council, it was a big mess. And then a couple years later, they both died. They're different. They weren't together, but they both dead. One died, dropped dead. He was opened up his door in his house. He was dropped dead in front of his door. Then the sister dropped dead. So it took a couple of years. And when I heard that, or at two different occasions, when I heard that, I said, well, that's adultery. Because they swore up and down that they wasn't, dealing with each other. It says, so that sin of adultery is a sin unto death. And see, if you did that, first of all, it's not going to be done in GMS because we don't want none of your women around us anyway. But if a brother lay with another brother's wife, and those two brothers are part of this circle of ours, that brother's gonna have to be out. And the brother that has a wife, he's not gonna want to deal with the wife no more. So he's gonna kick her to the curb. And what is she gonna do? She's gonna turn around and commit adultery. So we ain't gonna say, well, look, you suspended for a year and you can come back, or 6 months or whatever. That's confusion right there, because you letting the adulterer back into your fold, man. It says he lacketh understanding. I can understand if somebody come in 6 months in, year in, he commits adultery. You know, I can understand that because he's new to the thing, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he's guilty. But you got a man that's been in this thing for a number of years, and he's seasoned this thing, and he's a teacher. You got to be like a stoic. You see a woman, you know how human nature works between man and woman. You know how chemistry works. If you feel this woman looking at you and you think she looks good, and y'all catch eyes, you gotta. I would stop. First of all, I would stop coming to the classes. I would stop coming to classes, period. Or go and tell her, let that sister not come around. Yeah, well, brothers, sisters got to learn too. Well, I wouldn't come back around. I would just go about my business and teach the word on my own. 33rd verse, a wound. So this man that committed adultery, that's a teacher that's been in this thing for a number of years, that knows better, you know, that's a sin unto death. Most High might just fucking kill your ass. He might just kill you. It says, a wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. Man, that's always going to be on your chalkboard. The Day of Atonement ain't going to get rid of it either. And that's what they do. There was one situation, a guy named Anthony that used to be a part of the IUIC. And there's a video, I put the video up. He left the IUIC from out of Florida, and he was on this guy Vocab show. But I remember his name was Anthony. Then you had the two brothers, the two twins, and they were on that same show, or one of the brothers were. And he said that there was a situation where you had a relatively high-ranking brother that committed adultery, and he was suspended. And then the day after the Day of Atonement, he came back and he said, oh, I kept the Day of Atonement. So they said, okay, you can come back in. It says, it's 33rd verse, a wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. That sin is going to stay on you until you die. When you die, you get a new slate. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Now, if you're a real man, I'm gonna tell you right, just like it is. If I got a woman that's super fine, I'm really into that woman, and I found out she's dealing with another man, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna fucking lose it. You know? Somebody's gonna get fucked up bad. Now, this happened with this big lummox, black lummox, Tazadakia. He had that, the Archangel Awards, which is bullshit. All that extra fucking extracurricular activities bullshit. Have these shows, these get-togethers. Just do the work. That's all we do. We do our sit downs. If I speak to Gabar on the phone on Ramlab, it's 2 minutes. That's a long conversation with us. Say what I got to say. Shalom. See you later. We get out to the camp. We got the camps set up. We close. We do the salute. being that the warm weather come back, we might go back into doing little classes like after camp class, as the spirit is. But being that the days are longer, we might be out there a little bit longer anyway, even if we close the camp down, because when we close, we talk amongst each other. But I ain't exchanging numbers and I ain't hanging out with nobody. Brother said, look, Todd, me and my wife, we want to have a done. No, I said, I don't do that shit. I don't do that. I don't do that. You shouldn't bring your woman around, period. Period. It says, so the man in nature, and see what Esau does with his faggot ass, with his faggoty ass. You kill your wife and the guy that laid with her, and they arrest your ass. So this motherfucker got to go. The Most High got to send fire on his place. It says, and all you stupid motherfuckers in this place right here, you don't know what the devil got in store for your dumbasses. He's getting ready to chip everybody, you dummies. You fucking dummies. It says he will, 35th verse, he will not regard any ransom. Look, brother, going back to comfy. One of the awards was a perfect marriage award. Okay, y'all have a perfect marriage. I'm going to give you an award. Y'all have a perfect marriage. I'm going to give you an award. Now, one of the couples was an Ephraimite chick and an Ephraimite dude. And the dude that was married to the chick didn't have no backbone. Because if Comfy would have did that to me, I'm not going to say anything else. All right? And that just came to mind. Ain't no counsel, because you come to me, we're going to call a counsel for you what about to do. You might be victims as well. I might get posted up in this bitch. Hey, if a guy said, what you looking so mad? I'm killing this nigga right here. He laying with my wife. I said, hey, brother, that's not my problem. So he gave the couple a the reward, and then about a month later, he was dealing with that woman, and then this dumb hammerhead, no balls having, no back spine having, fucking Ephraimite, he's still going to the fucking classes, and then this nigga turned around and up his rank. There would have been hell up in Harlem up there if that was me. I'm telling you, just like it is, brother. And I would have got surgical with this shit too. Watch what I say. Watch what's going to happen at the IUIC. Watch what the IUIC ain't nothing but a deck of cards, man. Keep putting the thing on top. All of a sudden, it teeters and it falls. Watch what's going to happen to the IUIC. And I pray that the sincere brothers that are of the elect, I pray that they're all right. Because this is some bullshit, man. This act of adultery would not have taken place if you allowed a woman to commiserate around the men. Years ago in Connecticut, we said, look, I put a decree up. I said, no more women. A bunch of faggots didn't like it, and guess what? They back in the world. Them guys that wasn't with that, them guys all fell off. It was about, the school split. There were about half of them that stayed with our group, and the other half that did their own thing, and they got together and they became reservoir dogs, and they all went their separate ways and they fell out the truth. All right. So when it comes to matters with with you, your sister, fuck your sister, man. If you know the situation, don't get involved in what your sister's doing with a man. Because she's probably doing some shit that wants to make the man kill her. Because you know how these women get down, especially the black woman. That's BH number one. The fuck is this bullshit? Give me this bullshit. Okay, Leviticus. Let's get into the law now. Let's get into the law. Man, there's so many precepts on adultery, man. You can do, boy, you can just go on and on with this subject. Leviticus 20, verse 10, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and adulteress shall surely be put to death. Sometimes these men, they'll kill the man, but they'll try to make it back with the woman. That's why the judges got to get involved. In Brazil, there's a law. I don't know if it's still in effect. If you kill your wife and you bring the evidence that she was in an adulterous affair, they'll let you, oh, you go, you good, you good. Oh, let's go back to Romans 2 and 14. I believe it's a 14 verse. A law within themselves. Wisdom of Solomon, 14:24 to 27. Give me a second. 14, 24 to 27. Okay. This is what I got to do. I bring it into context. I 24. I started 24. I was reading 21. They keep neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. But see, they defile their marriages by the act of adultery. But either one slew another treacherously or grieved him by adultery, so that there reign in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, death, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, people lying on each other, disquieting of good men. You take a good man, you try to make him look bad. Forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind. You know what that means? Disorder in marriage, because in this society, men can lay with men, women can lay with women. A man can become a woman. He can change his plumbing. A woman can become a man. You could have two Edomite men adopt a little black boy. And I seen that one time, and I was gonna fuck them two Edomites up. I was gonna curse them out and beat the shit out of them. But I said, well, I would know it's gonna happen. And the more Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, he's gonna get rid of these Edomites in due time. He's gonna put them under our feet in due time. And that's where they fucking belong. Adultery and shamefulness, uncleanness for the worship of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. So part of that evil is what? Disorder in marriage, adultery, dissimulation, right? Corruption, unfaithfulness, that's adultery. And out of adultery comes death, blood. Ecclesiasticus, Ecclesiasticus 23 and 16. We're going to read down to 19. You can really start from the 13th verse, start at the 16th verse. 16th verse, Ecclesiasticus or Cuss 23, verse 16. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind is as a burning fire, it will never be quenched till it become consumed. A fornicator, which is an adulterer, in the body of his flesh shall never cease till he what? Till he have kindled a fire. So once an adulterer, always an adulterer. All bread is sweet to a what? A whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. A man that breaketh wedlock, adultery, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I? This is coming from a man of understanding, supposedly. I to fear the Most High will not remember my sins. Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. The next precept, Wisdom of Solomon 3, verse 16. Let's see what that says. Wisdom of Solomon 3, verse 16. As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be what? Rooted out. So you commit adultery, man. You now technically we all adulterers because the women that you get out here in this world, they had men in the past. You know, I had this man, had that man, I broke up with this man. The only way you can get a virgin is if she's 11, 12 years old. Why you think in the ancient world they got him young, and all you motherfuckers got it emotional about it. Every last one of you got emotional off of that statement that I made. Yeah, you got the Most High. How about Shem Shai is gonna make you take that chip, and you're gonna get dipped. How about that? Deal with that, nigga. Jeremiah 9 and 2. You know, one guy came on the site, the live stream that we do, and he said, "How do you know you guys are right?" Somebody, I forget what it was. Somebody said, "Well, how do you guys know that you're how does it go? How do you know? Maybe you wrong." So somebody put a comment saying, "Well, how do you know? Maybe they're right, and we are right." Like the question of the charagma, right? If somebody says, "Well, how do you know you're right?" Because we know. And if they push the envelope, you say, "Okay, you know what we'll do? We'll wait and see, and let's see if it happens." And guarantee you're gonna come and say, "Oh, you guys were right." We are right, and others that teach different from what we teach, concerning the charagma, you're dead wrong. So now you got to come up with some bullshit to explain it to your congregation. Jeremiah 9:2. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them, for, for they be all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men. So an adulterer is a treacherous man. You know, what David did in committing adultery, it caused him to commit murder. And the Most High punished him severely. One of the punishments that he received was his son, that everybody loved, Absalom, was popping his concubines and letting Israel see it. So this dude had to be stopped. And Joab took his ass out. How you gonna deal with these dots, nigga? Hit him with them 3 dots in his heart. That fro got caught up in the tree. Oh, and that's another thing. That proves that we Jake. He had a big Michael Jackson afro. He had an Angela Davis afro that got caught up in the trees. Now in the movie with this demon, what's his guy? What's his name? Richard Gere. We call him Richard Queer. Richard Gere, he played King David, and they had the scene with Absalom running away from Joab. And then what they did was he had long hair like a rock star, you know, like a rock and roll fiend. And that fucking shit got, man, get the fuck out of here, man. That thin doggy hair, he would have dropped. That hair would have broke. The afros are thick. And see, this guy Absalom had a big afro, and it was perfect. It was like a Michael Jackson 5 afro. You know, you use a hot comb. Yo, I had a perfect afro too. I had, man, my afro looked like the sun. It looked like a full moon, baby. Let me stop. But anyway, our hair is thicker, so you can see that Absalom had a big fro. He had that big fro because he was a vain man. He's a vain individual. The scriptures say there was no blemish on him. He was like the perfect man. So the women loved him, and the men wanted to be him. And a lot of them followed Absalom. And David was a sucker for his son. So Joab had to say, man, look, I gotta come in step. And guess what? He defied the orders of his king, King David, because King David was not in his right mind. He's all in love with his son. So he said, I'm gonna kill this nigga. And I can imagine, and they showed you in the movie, when he was stuck on the tree, he was trying to get out, he was dangling. And I can picture Joab's smile on his face. Yeah, I got this nigga now. And Joab was the captain of the host. He was a general, if you will. He was the prince of the armies under David. He was the second command under David, which he's supposed to be Ariyah. And he was an expert on all type of weapons. See, we didn't just use the sword. We used the bow, the staff. We used knew how to shoot arrows. We knew how to swing the sword. We had ropes to climb up on walls, and we had darts. So when he saw this guy dangling, he was smiling. Then he pulled out 3 darts, and he went, and all 3 of them shot him in the heart. Now that's an expert on darts, and he died. And then he brought the body back. He said, "Your son is dead." And then, King David, he got. Now when I saw that part, read that part, I thought about Marshall, because Marshall is very, he gets emotional. You know, he wants to cry. He gets weak sometimes. Y'all don't know Mo, and sometimes you got to kind of curse him out. What the fuck what the fuck you doing, man? You know, so Joab like said, "Look, I killed your son is dead." Oh, Absalom, my son. Then he said, "Look, nigga," he said, if it was up to you, you would spare Absalom's life and have all of Israel die. You know? And that was the truth. Because this man came stone against you, man. He was looking to kill you. So Joab did the right thing. Great men are not always wise. So it says, adulterers, for they be all adulterers, an assembly of what? Of treacherous men. They'll kill you over your woman. They'll set you up and kill your ass, put a contract on you, or kill you, and then put a damn insurance policy on you, man. That's why none of you brothers in GMS should be dealing with the black woman. If you stuck with her, that's too bad. Don't deal with no black woman, man, because they're all a bunch of fuck ups. They're all a bunch of demons. And if you're gonna deal with one of the Latin tribes, make sure she come from a good home with both her parents. And she might still be the devil, but don't deal with no Ephraimite chick that grew up with black women. I'm not even calling you Judites, you bunch of demons. Okay, so where we at? Where we at? Okay, so Matthew's 19 and 9 and Matthew's 5 and 12 pretty much say similar to the same thing about you can't leave your woman except for the act of fornication, meaning adultery. If she committed adultery against you, you can cut her off. First Corinthians 6 and 9, kind of cutting this short. I went long. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? If you're an adulterer, you're of the unrighteous, lest the Most High forgive you. Be not deceived, neither fornication. Now that word fornicator or fornicators mean adulterer, if you look it up. Nor idolaters, nor adulterers. It says the same thing. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this to show you that fornicators or fornication is the same word for adulterer. Okay, let me click on this. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicator. So now let me look up the word fornicator. The word there is pornos. Pornos actually translates into the word adulterer. See, it says here, a man who prostitutes his body to another's lust for hire, uh, a male prostitute, a man who indulges in unlawful sexual intercourse, meaning with a woman. That's what it really means. Or fornicator. Let me click on this. Because pornos is masculine. Porneia is feminine, but it means adultery. Let me try it another way. Okay, I want the word porneia. Bear me for a minute. Let me try this. Let me try fornicator. Fornicator. Let me see what this says. First Corinthians 5 and 11. Because the feminine form is porneia. I can't find the feminine form. Where the hell is it? The word there is porneia. Let me do it this way. Fornicators. Let me try it this way. Okay, let me try adulterers. An adulterer, whether it be man or woman. But there's let me come back over here. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try something. I'm trying to get pernea, which is the feminine form of adultery. So, like I said in the beginning of this video, this is a sin unto death, man. See, it should give you that, man. It should give you the masculine and the feminine sense. But even pornos is masculine for adultery, the act of adultery. And in the sense of a woman, it's pernea. But it should be let me try one more thing. Revelation 20, I believe it's 22. Revelation 22. Okay, it says whoremongers. It says whoremongers. But anyway, let's keep going. Micah 3, verse 5. We got one more and then we're going to close. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against false swearers and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, saith the Lord of the Most High. So what I want is adulterers. So this is in the Old Testament. See, for every masculine word in Hebrew, there's a feminine uh, word for it. Like Shah is prince, like Yasher Allah is prince. Shara is the feminine form saying prince. It says against the adulterers. So this is in the Old Testament, which is in the Hebrew. The word is na'ap. To commit adultery usually of a man, always with wife of another. So they're telling you adultery is when you lay with another man's wife. not you laying with another woman that's not married to nobody. That's not, you're not committing adultery against your wife. And the Christians teach that nonsense. Like this bonehead, what's his name? Geno Jennings. He said that in one video. If a man goes, he gets married to a woman and deals with another woman, that's adultery. And you're a fucking dummy. And that's why you ran from the IUIC. You ran from that. You hid in that church because you don't want to deal with the IUIC. You don't want to deal with no Israelites. You don't want to rock like that. Always with the wife. Always with wife of another. So the Christians teach you something completely different. That's why you stay away from them bug outs. To commit adultery of man, adultery of woman. That's what the word adultery means. It means when you lay down with a woman that's currently dealing with a man that's still alive, whether they got papers or not. And these black women, they're completely out of order. They'll mess around behind your back because they looked in your phone and you was messing with somebody else. You had every right to put her ass to death. So in our kingdom, everything's gonna be in order. Not like in this fucking kingdom. Not like in this setup. This place is gonna be the biggest burnt offering, biggest burnt sacrifice. You can say offering, because Israelites are gonna be offered in the fire. This is gonna be the biggest burnt sacrifice in the history of the planet. And everybody's gonna know about it. Everybody, breaking news around the world. Everybody's gonna know about it. And it's soon. The only thing that's stopping it, the only thing that has to happen before this could go ahead and happen is the what? Is the MOTB. I got one more precept, then I'm gonna close. Ecclesiasticus 25:2. Ecclesiasticus 25:2. I'm not even going to read one. 3 sorts of men my soul hateth. When the Most High said he hates you, you don't want the Most High to hate you. That's one thing you don't want. You do not want the Most High hating you, especially when you're telling people to keep the law and you break one of the most heinous laws out there. Oh, I got one more scripture. Let's hold this. I believe that's Romans 2. I'm almost positive it's Romans 2. Let's see if I'm correct, because I went through it the other day. Bear me for a minute. I want to go right to the point. The Israelites is condemned by the law. You see, when you say you got to keep this law, you got to keep the laws. That's a law. You got to keep the law of the Most High. And here you are breaking a major law unto the death. That makes you a super hypocrite, man. Why do you think our Lord said concerning the wicked scribes and Pharisees in Matthew 23, when the people said they tell us to keep the law? What did the Lord say? He said, yeah, keep the law. They're right. He said, but do as they say, not as they do, because they say and do not. It says, and knoweth this his will, and let me read it from the beginning. 17th verse. Behold, thou art called an Israelite. That's what the word should be, the Israelite. And restest in the law, and maketh thy boast of the Most High through the law. Look, I keep all the laws. Where your fringes at? Why are you grabbing that woman's booty and she's married? Huh? How about that? If you don't have fringes on, the Most High is not going to put you to death for not having fringes on. And knoweth his will, and approveth the things that are more excellent, being instructed out of the what? Out of the law, and are confident that, and this is the Paul cursing out the Israelites for pushing the Lord thing, and he knew that they weren't keeping the laws. It says, and art confident that thou thyself art a guide of the blind, a light of them which are in darkness. Because how you lead by example. So somebody gonna die over this. An instructor of the foolish, a teacher of babes, which hath the form of knowledge and of the truth in the law. Thou therefore, which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, doeth thou still? Thou that sayeth a man should not commit adultery, doeth thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorreth idols, doeth thou commit sacrilege? Thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonoreth thou the Most High. I'm not going to read more, but you can read the rest of this. You read this whole chapter. Let me do this. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are law unto themselves. Why? Because these Gentiles in the 14th verse are talking about Israelites like Cornelius and others. That's why Cornelius was a good man and he gave alms. And the angel came down to him to introduce him to Peter. And he was brought into the fold. Why? Because he was an Israelite. But he got his great grandparents or great grandparents, maybe their grandparents or so, got caught up in that mess during the time of the Maccabees, where they forced him not to keep the laws. That's what that's all about. Ecclesiasticus 25:2. Three sorts of men my soul hated. I hate this type of nigga. And I am greatly offended at their life. I want to kill him. I want to kill that motherfucker. Oh, give me one reason why I should take that nigga out. A poor man that is proud, a rich man that is a liar. That's Esau. He rich, but he lies his ass off. That's how he got his riches. And an old adulterer that doteth. Look up the word. Nah, I don't gotta look it up. I'll look it up later. Anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom on to the next one. Shalom.